It's not fun. It's strategic.
Strategic.
It's strategic. Yeah. It's almost scientific, because if you have a double high ceiling and you put a very tall painting on the wall, it's going to emphasize it. If you put like a horizontal line, it's going to make it shorter. So it's if the staging is very well done, it's almost scientific how people will perceive spaces in a different way.
Welcome to another episode of Realtors in Cars Getting Coffee. You can check us out on Instagram under Real Estate Like a Boss, right? So Real Estate Like a Boss on Instagram. And today we're going to pick up Carolina Arashiro. Super interesting pivot, much like another episode that we did with Thomas, who not only pivoted careers but pivoted countries. Carolina is from the beautiful country of Brazil. So we're pulling up right here to pick up Carolina Arashiro and check out her journey into real estate. Hey Carolina.
Hello.
Come on in.
It's a fun car.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you in person.
Yeah.
Right?
Here's your coffee. So if anyone wants to ever have coffee with Carolina, it's latte with coconut milk.
Yes, thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers to a good ride.
Oh man, I should have told you the car I was pulling up in.
Just 1 second.
Yeah, buckle up.
Buckle up.
Safety first.
Thank you for the coffee.
My pleasure. Thank you for joining us today. So I'm excited about today for so many reasons. First of all, I love Brazil.
Okay,
Oh my
me too.
gosh.
We have something in common.
In my previous job, I used to go to Brazil a lot, or my previous career. And I'm excited because I collaborated with your husband, and that was lots of fun.
Yes.
And now we can collaborate.
Exactly, and that's an amazing coincidence. So you know the whole family. Just missing my son and my stepson now.
We'll get there. So Carolina, the objective of our conversation today is going to be to help people who had a different career than real estate pivot into real estate.
Yes.
So in your case, you were an architect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
for several years, and you actually practiced in Brazil.
Yeah.
And then you came back to Miami,
Mm-hmm.
and you pivoted into real estate.
Exactly.
Can you tell me what caused, by the way, is there any place in specific you would like to go? If not, I'm going to go 15 minutes one way and 15 minutes back.
Design District's 15 minutes away. Why not Design District? Midtown.
All right. Let's go shopping.
Or we might be stuck in traffic for 15 minutes going, 15 minutes coming back. Since it's Miami, we never know.
You never know. So, all right, so talk to me. What prompted, what was the chip that caused you to pivot?
So change, I like changing, and I wouldn't say that I'm not afraid of changing. However, usually things happen in my life that causes, big changes to happen. And in this case, I graduated in from UF in architecture in 2004, went to Brazil, worked until 2010.
Okay.
I came back in 2010. There's nothing being built. There's such an amazing, incredible number of units to be sold, and there was nothing to be built. So I was talking to someone this week how I called a mentor I had at college, and I was like, Dr. Fukai, what should I do? No jobs in architecture. And then I just came back from Brazil. My budget was down to zero, and he was like, pick something that you're going to learn how to deal with people, because you're going to take this to the rest of your life when you learn about people. And I researched a few different things, ended up finding real estate. And of course, because I was an architect, there was something that I imagined was going to make it a little easier. And I had the intention of transitioning back to architecture eventually. It's still my passion, it's still in my heart.
So you kept one hand in architecture and one...
No, actually no. Because, people think that it's easy to have two jobs.
Mm-hmm.
If one is real estate, reality is no. If you're in real estate, you really need to be full-time real estate. And so I went, dived into, in the beginning, I didn't have money. I was starting everything from scratch when I came back from Brazil. So I was selling a little bit of Mary Kay, doing some things here and there, food demonstrations at Publix for a little bit, to have my everyday money until I was able to actually start making money in real estate. So I started being an assistant to this guy, and 3 years later, I was the partner of a company.
I love
I
it.
ended up never going back to architecture. So I found a new passion in real estate.
That's awesome. I'm going to go back a few steps because
Yeah.
I want to capture a few things. The reason nothing was being built in 2010 is because we had the real estate crash of 2008,
Exactly.
right? So
Exactly.
not the best time to get into architecture, right, or into real estate. Now,
Actually, not even real estate, but because I was focusing on the international buyers, it was an amazing time. The dollar was very cheap
wow.
for foreign nationals, for South Americans specifically,
Wow.
and there was so much inventory. So it was very cheap for Brazilians to come to the United States. So I was able to find this gap even in the real estate market, where when it wasn't great as well.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And then, but how did you make the pivot to real estate? You joined a brokerage, who did you join? Let's talk about your first few steps. What should somebody do if someone was in architecture? What did you do, and would you do it again?
I think telling people exactly what to do is difficult because I think it's very particular where they're coming from. In my case specifically, I didn't have a network. I was starting a new network, a new connections, and a new group of people in Miami, so I had to start from scratch. So it happened that I became an assistant to this guy, getting nothing. He didn't pay me anything.
Welcome to real estate.
Welcome to real estate. Sometimes I see people complaining about, oh, I'm getting only 10%. I'm like, lucky, I was getting nothing in the beginning. But guess what? I was going to all the meetings. I was getting his help. I was being trained by him, and that is priceless. So soon enough, I was already, getting to my 30s, so I wasn't, a child anymore. So I picked up very fast, and less than 1 year, I was partners with him. So we're dividing everything 50-50.
Nice, fast.
Because I jumped heading. I really I wasn't part-time. I dedicated 100% to real estate.
What's your take on that? Someone new, should they have one foot in each career, or should they jump in?
Jumping. I mean, I understand that people have to make money somehow. So for a little bit, I was doing things on the side, but I was doing things that didn't interfere me learning a new career. Because if you think about it, real estate is the one of the few careers that you can make a lot of money going to school for 1 month.
Yeah,
What
it's amazing.
like for architecture, I went to school for 4 years. I should have gone 2 more and worked 3 more to be able to take a test to be a licensed architect. So I'm not a licensed architect, actually. But it was gonna be 8 years of going to school to start making money. In real estate, you go 1 month to school. So partnering with someone, dedicating, reading about the market, and really jumping into this new reality, I think it's what gave me what I needed to be able to learn what I needed to learn.
And by the way, I agree with you 1,000%. I know there are people that say keep 1 foot in each career, keep 2 jobs.
Complicated.
Different piece of advice. I would tell you, save money to have 6 months and then go all in on real estate instead of having 1 foot in each career.
Actually, that's what I tell people that I train. I tell them today, in real estate, you don't have any guarantees of anything. You are your own little business. So you have to have at least 6 months of reserves. Like to start with, 6 months, I would say later on, even 1 year, because like COVID hits. We didn't know if it was gonna be good or disaster. We're lucky. It was disaster for a few months, and then it was super good. It was like many people's best year,
In real estate.
because so many people were moving to South Florida. But I would say in real estate, you really have to have a big reserve, and we have to think yearly. We cannot think this month. this semester, in my opinion, real estate, you make your math by the year. And
So
usually
you
that's what I
budget for
tell.
the year.
You budget for the year.
And
Definitely. And you plan for the year. You know, we need a business plan. Usually I tell people it's important to have a business plan in real estate, especially if you're starting, because you have to know your goals and where you're stepping, and to have an idea and to measure your efforts.
and having the business plan is so awesome, because if you have a target, you're actually more likely to hit it.
Exactly.
Some people wing it, and let me ask you this: are there any? So you have this architecture degree. Can you remember any instances, any specific examples or stories where having the architecture degree helped you with a real estate deal? Was there anything specific, or did it just help you overall?
I would say both, because when we go to I think when you go to any graduation, any college actually, now I understand that, in my opinion, the most important thing that the colleges, universities teach is how to work in groups, how to follow directions, how there is a hierarchy, anywhere you go, in companies, in college, anywhere. So I guess it teaches you how to be out of the high school setting and into the real world setting. So I would say that, working in teams and collaborating, and in architecture we have to present our idea, to a group of professors or to visiting people. We have to speak. We had to come across with ideas. I would say the architecture, this is one of the things that helped me overall. But when people hear that I'm an architect, they'll be like, oh, you're probably such an amazing realtor because you're an architect. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, maybe yes, maybe no. But people think that I'm an amazing realtor because of architecture, because I know how to lay out furniture. And I would say that that's not my strength. For a lot of people, this is their strength, but it's not mine particularly. But I would say that architecture makes me understand the cities, the growth, the patterns, the market. Like I can look at buildings, and when there's a nice architect coming in, it's an indicator that there's more money being invested into real estate. I used to work a lot for developers, so I know how to analyze lands when I have clients wanting to buy lots and develop. I work with a lot of Brazilian developers as well. So architecture has helped me more in this side than in the laying out furniture side. However, when I walk into an apartment, of course, it's easier for me to visualize the potential than someone that doesn't have this spatial, training. But I would say it helps me more analyzing the market than anything else.
Let me ask you this. We were talking about spatial training and interior design and laying out furniture. How important would you say is staging to selling a home?
1,001%.
1,001%. I was gonna say 400%, but yeah, 1,000.
It's very important, because I think in real estate, when my mentor, unfortunately he's gone now, I wish he was here, because a lot of things that happen, I feel like calling him, hey, Dr. Fukai, you said this was going to happen and this is happening. So when we understand about people and real estate, in my opinion, unless it's even investment real estate, I would say it's 50% emotions and 50% rational.
Okay.
We have to work on the 50% emotions, and we have to understand where people cannot see, that people are different, that people have different ideas, different tastes, and they have different abilities. Not everybody is able to walk into a double ceiling height, a lot of light coming in, but if there's no furniture, they're gonna say, oh, this space is so small. And then they come back with furniture. Wow, this space is fancy, it's tall, it's beautiful.
Isn't it funny how furniture makes a place look bigger, not smaller?
It's not funny, it's strategic.
Strategic.
It's strategic. Yeah. It's almost scientific. Because if you have a double high ceiling and you put a very tall painting on the wall, it's going to emphasize it. If you put like a horizontal line, it's going to make it shorter. So it's if the staging is very well done, it's almost scientific how people will perceive spaces in a different way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so of course then when you do staging, you want to try to get a professional, to lay it out.
Right.
Even using lights and using colors and using, I have the theory. If you tell me go and do it, maybe I won't be the best person, but when I see, I'm able to identify when something's done, correctly, and when something brings the best out of the spaces, or when something makes it, smaller and closed and not neutral. I always say that if you want to sell, the spaces should be neutral, so everybody can imagine their own life there.
So, Carolina, you were saying, we talked about architecture and how you use architecture in real estate, right? And we were talking about how staging is so powerful. So if you were to sell your own home, you would stage it.
Definitely, yes. Staging is such a good investment.
And so newer agents, right? They need to know this, right? So if you come to a home, even if it's already a decorated home, you still would hire a stager to help you maybe reorganize the spatial layout and add some accents.
Because sometimes, as I was saying, the staging can work for you or against you. Like a bad staging could make a space look much smaller than it is in reality. And sometimes just changing the bed cover from a flowers to pattern to white, that's all you need to make the bedroom, twice bigger. So it has to be done. I know it's you can read online. It's very easy to find some guidelines online. Depending on the price of the listing, I would say it's important to invest in a professional to do this.
And is that a cost that the agent should come up with, or is that a cost that the seller should bear? And if it's the seller, how do you convince them?
Tricky question. I do have a few items of my own that I will bring, to the house. Things that I know help, like I'll bring flowers. I have wide bed covers that I'll bring. I would say that it makes sense to be a owner's cost, because realtors, we already have a lot of costs up front, and staging can get expensive. And once he sells, the seller is gonna get his money back, not necessarily, the realtor. However, I've paid when I thought I wasn't able to convince my client and I thought it was worth it. I have paid some things out of my pocket, but most times I'm able to sit down with my clients and reason with them. Let's try this, and if it doesn't work, you agree with me that you're gonna pay staging. So if they don't wanna do it right away, we make a plan of action.
Yes.
For price, for staging, for some compromises on both sides.
And I want people to know that there are staging companies that you don't pay until you close.
Exactly.
So you pay at the closing table, and I think that's where you see that's a true partnership in the real estate world. So I know there's companies out there that are trying to help agents get the deal done, right?
Exactly.
And so you mentioned network marketing or network sales, right?
Yes.
Mary Kay, talk to me about that.
It was my first experience into selling things and thinking about my own business, because in architecture, I would sit down behind the computer, make my project and go and present it. But then I wasn't the one making the business decisions. And then when I had to make some money and I was thinking what I'm gonna do while I'm doing this real estate thing, I was almost 30 already, and I'm like, I'm gonna ask my parents for money. So I was on Starbucks. I was on the Starbucks line. And I'm very I love talking, and I look into people's eyes usually, because I like to start conversation, and I probably looked into this lady's eyes, and she came to me and she's like, oh, have you heard about Mary Kay? And I'm like, no, I never heard about it before. She was like, okay. And she explained me, she had like this, elevator pitch.
Okay.
That I fell for, thankfully. And then I came to a meeting, and then I was, I learned what it was about. In Brazil, there was a similar one called Avon.
Okay.
I think here
we
they
have it here,
too.
yeah.
Yes. And I was like, okay, I'm up for anything. I'm up for anything to try different things. And I started trying, and then she trained me. I came to more meetings, and it was actually very surprisingly how the equation works. She told me, do this, this, and this. And I did what she told me, and I sold. And I'm like,
And I bet you those skills probably helped you more in real estate than your architecture skills.
Yeah, so I would say it's different things. I think one thing that came with me, which I'm lucky, because if we don't have it, I think everything is developable. I don't know if that's a word.
Yeah.
But we can work on any skills. But the people skills. Real estate, I think we need the people skills. And for me, it's easy. I like to talk. I like to look into the eyes. I like to sit down by someone and start a conversation. So that's one thing.
Okay.
But architecture, actually, that's a talk that I had with the students when I came back for a lecture a while back. They don't teach you how to sell. Usually, artists don't know how to sell their art. So if you talk to musicians, to architecture, to painters, to now everything's kind of changing a little bit because of social media and how people have to expose themselves on social media. People
Right.
are learning how to sell themselves. But architects don't know how to sell. They don't know how to talk about money. Well, in Mary Kay, guess what? I needed to sell, I need to talk money, I needed to know how much I wanted to sell by the end of the month. And I read a few books. They gave us a few books.
Nice.
Not only the networking, the
multi-level.
the multi-level networking. Not only about that, but about personal skills to be an entrepreneur. Actually, the books that Mary Kay wrote herself teaches about that, and I guess that was very, very important for me. That was my first conscious take into understanding what business is about.
And it's interesting because the careers you mentioned, artists, songwriters, or musicians, there's hard skills and there's soft skills, right?
Exactly.
So the hard skills are going to be your real estate specific skills, how to do comps, how to list a house on the MLS. And then you have your soft skills, which are how to negotiate, how to strike up a conversation. Mm-hmm. Your selling skills are more your soft skills. And those you can use in almost any industry, from Mary Kay to real estate.
To dating, to anything in the world. It's necessary. And one thing, going back to what you asked me before, I never made a commission by myself. I was always an assistant, a partner like not in a company, but I had someone that I partnered with 50-50. And then later, I was, partner in a company, and I became the broker. I never made a commission by myself, and I was very lucky to find people along the way, especially, my partner today, André Dweck. We had a company and we sold it. So today we are a group inside a bigger company. And
which company are you in?
One Sotheby's.
Awesome.
So we are the Dweck Ladder Group under One Sotheby's. And André, by nature, he's a negotiator. He's an entrepreneur. He's a business person. So I had to go out and learn the soft skill. So I did a bunch of courses. I did different things because when I realized that I was already good in real estate, I know all my contracts. I know all my laws. I was already the broker. I'm like, okay, now I have to learn how to be a business owner. So I went into studying that, while André was the opposite. He was already a business owner in Brazil, and then he came here, he opened the company, and he had to learn what I knew very well, and he didn't. So my point is, partnering with someone that is good at what you're not. It's very important. It doesn't mean that you don't have to learn what they know, because if someone is not here, the partner has to be able to take on, the full responsibility. So you can get a vacation. If you're sick, the other one, can take it on. But I would say that partnering with someone, in my opinion, is major in real estate.
I love what you're saying, because sometimes I came from a company in corporate America, which was all about developing your weaknesses. You're saying build on your strengths and partner to compensate for your weaknesses.
Exactly.
That's an interesting perspective, right?
And for us, it worked super well. And we call each other good cop, bad cop. And sometimes I'm the good, sometimes I'm the bad. Because sometimes we have to sit down and have a very hardcore negotiation. Usually I'll call him. And sometimes we have to mediate. I think real estate is about mediating. We are always trying to account for anxiety, for emotions, and being the person in between. And so when this happens, I come in. When we have to revise and do an addendum and analyze, that's me. And then when we need to structure something, we have a client that not only wants residential, but they want to set up a new business in the US, and they want to do commercial, and then we have a whole team actually. So in my team we have my husband, who does commercial real estate. We have André, that also does residential with me, but his background is very it's companies, it is an executive background, so it's very easy to talk to these people coming here. And we have me, I'm the more heart, let's say.
Okay.
I train, the new realtors, and I'm the one who one of my strengths is also the technical. I know every contract, front to back and forth. I really go and I study, and that's that part of the real estate. I know my comps, I know the MLS, I know every software there is to learn.
That's awesome.
So I jump into that. So we compensate. And we learn. Every day we learn with each other.
Nice. And since you mentioned commercial real estate, I want to kill a myth that's out there. Some agents go into commercial real estate because they believe it's less emotional. Now, I don't know who doesn't get emotional about money, but when you're talking to somebody that's looking to open their new store, their new restaurant, it's emotional when they want to buy it, their own medical practice, when they're selling their apartment building. So it's a myth to think commercial real estate is less emotional. It may be more numeric, but doesn't make it less emotional. Would you agree?
No. There isn't one client buying commercial, like business, a lot or whatever, that says, my gut feeling tells me that. Gut feelings equals emotions.
Yep.
And we have to respect, because I respect emotions and I respect good feelings. And I guess as realtors, we are mediating between the rational and the emotional. But the more money, the more emotional, the more egos are involved. We have to be able to navigate that, for sure.
Definitely.
In my opinion, there isn't one real estate deal that there's no emotions involved. There isn't one.
Amen. And so let me ask you, Carolina. So someone's in Mary Kay, in network marketing, multi-level marketing, they want to come over to real estate. What would you say to them? What would be a shortcut? Is there a mistake you made that you wouldn't make again if you could tell yourself 10 years ago?
I made so many mistakes.
Yeah. So
And
let's
beautiful.
help people avoid them. So which ones can you remember that people should avoid?
So first one I would say is thinking that you're gonna go through real estate school and getting out and knowing what to do. Definitely not. I think people have to realize that it takes time to learn anything. So dedicate time, get your reading. Now there's so many podcasts like this one. But there's podcasts, so much material that you can read, that you can get professional, and don't take long. I mean, don't hesitate when you have to share your commission. So I would say study, get your facts, get your numbers, drive around, get familiar with what you're doing, because you're not, I was saying, real estate school, you're going to learn how not to get arrested. You learn the laws, which is important because we deal with a lot of confidential information, with a lot of, like documents and people's, house. So we have to learn how not to get arrested. That's important. But then dedicate your time to learn about the business, the market. And then the other thing is give yourself time. Give yourself time. Don't rush. Sometimes you're gonna do a very big deal in the beginning. Don't think that's gonna happen every month. Plan for it. And I would say enjoy the ride. Because every day we learn so much. Oh, one important thing, super important. Don't expect business from your friends and family. They won't give it to you.
Wow.
They just won't. And
why do you think? Why not?
Because they know you're not a realtor. They know you just got your license. People know. I mean, one of my mom's good friends, sold a house next door to my house and bought another one. And I thought she was gonna call me, and I was upset. And she was a good friend of my mom. And then I was like, why? And then I understood, of course, she knows I'm an architect. I'm not a realtor yet. So proving ourselves to our family and friends, it's way harder than proving ourselves to someone that doesn't know us that well. So in the beginning, for me, I remember the names of the people that knew me, that trusted me with Mary Kay and with real estate, and I'll remember those names forever.
Amen.
Forever, and I'll be forever grateful.
But if someone doesn't do a deal with you, you can't get mad at them. And I know a lot of realtors.
It's nothing personal.
It's your fault, not theirs.
Don't ruin your friendship. Don't ruin your relationship with anyone, because they have a point. We are learning. We don't know what we are doing.
Doesn't mean you shouldn't ask for the business.
No,
just don't get upset.
Should. Just don't get upset. And I learned very early that I needed a partner more experienced than me. So I was working for him for free. But when I got, a potential client, he came with me. And he had 10 years experience. So he helped me to get my first deal was a $60,000 deal. I think they don't exist anymore. It was a 3-bedroom townhouse.
Parking spaces for $60,000.
It was that was like 13 years ago. It was a 3-bedroom townhome apartment. So he came with me, he did the presentation, he guided me through. I worked a lot for him for free until I was able to prove myself to him as well.
Wow.
And once I learned everything, then I started working with his clients, and then people started trusting me because I had something to show. So don't get upset at your friends if they don't trust you in the beginning. They are not totally wrong. It is a new thing that we are learning.
Yes. And would you say, okay, so we talked about leveraging Mary Kay, maybe some learnings from architecture. How about your Brazilian background? Is it easier for you to work with Brazilians, or do they prefer to work with Americans? What have you seen?
No, 80% of my business is Brazilians.
Nice.
Because it's not only about the language, it's about the culture. In Brazil, people are used to getting a different type of attention, of doing business in a different way. So actually the way I train my team is very focused on foreign nationals. So we all have to know on the back, by heart, the types of visas, what's the impact, what's the tax impact of a Brazilian coming here. If a foreign national is selling, what's FIRPTA? We have to really know everything that spins around real estate that caters to foreign nationals. So we are able to tell them, this exists, go to a lawyer.
So Okay, as we approach our destination here and wrapping up for a second, we talked about architecture, we talked about network marketing, we talked about working with Brazilians. I don't know if there's any last bit of advice that we may have missed. People should join a team. You're at One Sotheby's, so if someone's listening to us, they don't have to be Brazilian to be on your team?
Actually, we do most things in Portuguese. So I've had people, non-Portuguese speaking people wanting to join the team. But reality is I have a lot of clients who don't speak Portuguese, I mean English.
Okay.
But I'm very, my opinion is all realtors should be united and should help each other. And usually I'm helping and training and giving advice to people that are not in my team.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people know that when they need new team members or anything, they come to me, and usually I find them a team to go to because they know I believe. And I've tried all types of team structures. It's not easy to be in a team and to build a team because working together as real estate agents, when we talk about commissions and everything, it's not the easiest thing to do. So I exchange a lot of experience and things that happen with other teams at One Sotheby's. So even if you're not Brazilian, if you need any advice, any team, anything, you can call me. I'm always happy to help. I think that's how we give back after so many people have helped me, in this business and everything that I've done.
That's awesome. So, all right, Carolina, after these awesome people,
10 dogs passing by in front of us.
I guess they want me to go. Okay, então, obrigado.
De nada.
Obrigado. Let's talk about off-market properties. We're going to do that off camera.
Sounds
and
good.
I think that's another reason why realtors need to collaborate because there's a lot of off-market properties and there's a really good reason why people sell off-market. But we'll cover that in another episode. Thank you so much, Carolina.
Thank you very much. It was very nice. Thank you for having me.
My
Hopefully
pleasure.
I've helped someone with my stories and I'm always available for anything.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, grab my
Ciao.
coffee.
Let's keep in touch.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.